Hey guys, it is back. We're back here with no Adam this week. Adam is not with us. Adam is feeling a little under the weather, but that's okay because we already had Babe scheduled to be here, and we have Babe. How's Babe doing?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day.
Great. That's true. We do hope that everybody has a great week coming up. Here in the United States, we're running into Thanksgiving, so we're hope that everybody has a safe, fun time with their family, and don't eat too much, I guess, or do whatever, um, and pay for it later, I guess. Whatever. Um, oh, here, Adam says he's here in spirit. So I knew he was around because he was sending me TikToks like 5 minutes ago. So I knew he was up and around doing something. But anyway, so Adam will be missed tonight, but I think it was just fortunate the way it worked out. So
Yeah.
um, we got. I was going to mention some stuff, but I was looking at your show notes, and there's some things in your show notes that I think we'll wait till the end because it kind of ties into what one of your things in your notes. So
Okay.
um, I don't think we want to dilly dally too much and just let you get right into it if you want.
All right. Well, I just had come up with this idea about aquanauts because definition wise, you know, and I don't think it means the same thing as it used to mean to a lot of people. But at the same time, it's always something growing up with Jacques Cousteau in that era. It's something that I've always thought I want to be an aquanaut. That'd be really cool. Do you know any? Do you know any famous ones or anything that you can name?
Like personally,
Well,
or just
okay, no of
just in
any.
general,
Yeah.
because I mean, like we've had Dennis Chamberlain on here. I think he qualifies
Yeah.
as one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a bunch of big names out there. People like man, I'm drawing a blank on some of them now, but well, I mean, all the Cousteaus, obviously, you got generations of them. They're all Aquanauts. You've got the thing with which I think you're going to talk about is there's thousands and thousands of Aquanauts out there probably, um, and I think that's kind of why you came up with this thing because it's a loose term. It seems to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yes, Adam threw one in there. Yeah, Thane from Milhone
Yeah.
from that works at
Yep.
Jules. Obviously, he's one. I said I assume he's one by
Yeah. I was
now.
gonna say if he isn't, he's not tried hard enough.
But yeah, I mean, you got Jan Koblik, who
Yeah.
is the grandfather of a lot of these underwater habitats that we currently have and love, Tektite and La Chalupa and stuff on those lines. Um, yeah, so
I think
there's a few.
Sylvia
So
Earle. Yeah.
I'm about to say Sylvia Earle. Yep,
Yeah.
she's a
Yeah. Yeah.
big one.
Yeah, so when you see a resume for these people, that's one of the things that's always listed, which is awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
because that is, I don't know how you call it, a term that denotes an it's an accomplishment, and that's why I brought this up because with Atlantis Sea Colony's goal of colonizing the ocean, is everyone that lives there going to be an aquanaut? Or
hmm.
is the term definition going to change? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Is it going to be
totally.
a specific group? So that's kind of where it all came from. And I am going to read a couple of definitions because
Okay.
first we got Webster's definitions, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. A scuba diver who operates both inside and outside an underwater shelter for an extended period of time. So that's Webster's version of
But
it.
it's an inside and outside.
Yes,
Hmm.
because that
So,
was a point, right? You're thinking
uh-huh.
if you got people going in a dry environment,
Yeah.
down and up, are they now not considered an aquanaut?
Interesting.
You go by Wiki's definition, and it's a lot longer. An aquanaut is any person who remains underwater, breathing at the ambient pressure for long enough for the concentration of the inert components of the breathing gas dissolved in the body tissues to reach equilibrium in a state known as saturation.
Hmm.
Usually, this is done in an underwater habitat on the seafloor for a period equal to or greater than 24 hours, continuous hours, it says here, without returning to the surface. The term is often restricted to scientists and academics, though there were a group of military aquanauts during the Sea Lab program. Commercial divers in similar circumstances are referred to as saturation divers. An aquanaut is distinct from a submarine in that a submariner is confined to a moving underwater vehicle such as a submarine. Old eye, sorry. An aquanaut is distinct from a submariner. Oh, I just read that. Moving underwater submarine that holds the water pressure out. So a vehicle that holds the water pressure out. Aquanaut derives from the Latin word aqua and the Greek nautis, sailor. And together it's aquanaut. So that was the whole basis of it. You got two different definitions. Literally, part of that definition makes me think, okay, saturation diver. If you're a saturation diver, are you an aquanaut? Because according to one of the definitions, you have to stay in an underwater, not moving habitat.
Right.
So does the saturation belt qualify as that? I mean, my terms it would, just because of what we're living with today. Where in the future, it may change.
Yeah, as long as I did the 24-hour rotation, I would still classify them at. But it brings up a lot of interesting questions here with those two definitions. Both of them negate future habitats like what we're proposing with Atlantic Sea Colony, and even the Morocco over in the Maldives, where it's a room underwater.
Yep.
If you went and spent the night there, or did 24 hours in that, you wouldn't be an aquanaut still, even by those definitions either.
Because one
That's
environment.
Yeah.
One ATA. Yeah.
And not only that, you never get wet too on that one.
Yeah.
So both definitions. Huh. And see, that's one of the big things that's above all else. When I went to Jules, I was more disappointed with the fact I couldn't use aquanaut in my title because I got sick and I was like, that was like more than anything else. I was like, oh my gosh! As I went there, I was hoping I would change my bios to aquanaut, and here I can't do it now.
See, for your sake, I would rather. Well, I'm sure you would have too, because wow, I know you're miserable. I'm sure you would have rather not met the standard in the way I didn't meet the standard with the storm cutting everything short than what you went through. I can't imagine.
But I think you're right. I think that does bring up, and like we were talking the other day, I think Adam, you and me were talking, the space industry is running the exact same problem with what is an astronaut. With Bezos and Brandon going up to the Kármán line, which is like the bare minimum of space. Are they really astronauts at that point in time for just going up, spending 4 minutes and coming back down? And they're rethinking about the term space tourist and astronaut being two different things. Basically, you have to, do I think some kind of experiment and spend so many days or hours in space and stuff. So maybe something similar.
Yeah, that's just it. Because even I guess that you better do the space tourism thing to get called astronaut before they change the definition, because otherwise you don't get that.
Right.
But that also brings up to me, because what you said, the experiment thing. So what the scientists in Wiki's definition, scientists, academics, understandable. First of all, who gets to make those standards that says you're an aquanaut? I don't care. I understand it's a goal to reach for. I mean, I like that. Because if you're doing the one, more than one ATA, you're saturating to your environment in and out. Because just like Jules, once you go down, you're not allowed to come to the surface. You have to. They don't care if you go scuba diving as many times as you want out there in the lagoon. Go all you want. Do not go to the surface. You go back to the habitat every time. So you're staying in that environment. Your partial pressure gases are all pretty much staying the same in your body. by doing that. So that's cool. I like that. That's close enough to what I'm ever wanting as a title for Aquanaut. If anyone knows me, they know how much I've been looking at the hyperbarics program just as a side venue for what I already do. I think it'd all go together. I like the idea of it. But
I think there has to be
thoughts?
almost having some sort of a risk involved with the thing. I think that clarifies it too. Same,
Yeah.
Saturation diving has its risks. Having to swim it, be outside and inside, it's all risk. Not saying you don't have risks in Morocco or anything underwater, whether what it is, but it comes into a completely different. Yeah, well, that too. But I'm just saying, you could implode. It could whatever. There's always that concern. You could get a leak. But I think that having that clarification of that risk, because I don't like the idea of it only being limited to the science community, because you've got a whole entire blue collar side of things that could fall into it as well. But then again, is doing it, I don't know. It opens up. I don't know. Now I'm thinking through it.
Well, I just think that your academics and stuff, for their science, for their schooling, what they achieved with their degree, that was their goal. The Aquanaut thing is a side thing, but it shouldn't be limited to that. Anyone,
I mean, that's what it needs is some kind of
meet those environments.
And maybe that's what it needs is some kind of I won't say academic, but it needs more legwork than just some dude that can go swim down, spend the night for 24 hours and come back out. Maybe there has to be some kind of education behind it, whether that's done by Patty or whomever. Since I know Jules it's all through Patty, their Aquanaut program. So maybe you have to do some book legwork and book work and some work to achieve that title.
Hey, Thane, give us a call.
Yeah.
So that's going to bring up a good question then. I mean, someone I know will know the answer quickly enough. But that's as far as your plain out definitions, easily available. That's what they were for what an Aquanaut is. And again, I think it's going to be subject to changes. You look how fast the world's changing and everything. We've had the technology to go and stay underwater for how long, and more people are looking at that now. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because like anything, it loses some of its sexiness and its allure when everybody can do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's anybody.
Adam's got a comment here too. Do we create a new category for underwater citizens to qualify people who legit live in underwater habitats?
Sure. I mean, that's awesome. But is that going to become one of those things where, they're from the east side of the railroad tracks? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like the hood.
Yeah. They got the rundown habitats. Yeah. Well, that's when I moved to the area I'm in, I was like, thought this was weird because everybody from the north side of town, the northern, but if you're from the south side of town, you're from the hood, you're not as good as the people on the northern. And it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think
that's going to become
a huge problem with underwater habits. But I think what Adam's asking is, it's almost like your passport. Do you have? Maybe this isn't what he's saying at all, but do you have something similar to that where you have another? I don't know how you do that. Because, I guess, are you living or are you just staying there? Because if you're living there, then it would completely change. If that is your resident, you'd be a resident of of what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that goes far beyond Aquanaut at that point in time.
Yeah, definitely.
So but that's a good question, and it's something to ponder. But we're obviously quite a few years away from that happening.
Yeah.
But still, but no, I do. I think that I don't know. It would be a question for Thane, I think, or somebody that's involved with the Aquanaut program. Is there talk about about this changing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe have to shoot him an email or something like that.
Yeah, bring it up in a future live stream just to
or next time I go
either
there.
answer the question. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to be in a race to beat you there because I want to do the program myself. I now think got that set up just for that. I want to do it.
Yeah. Oh man, yes. I don't know. But it's continue on. I'll ponder while you keep on talking.
Oh, that's just the whole point, is to make you ponder, because again, when esteemed people in the science community or adventure communities, that's on their resume, which is awesome. That's what we all look up to, and that's why. I mean, there's a point, a point of achievement there that we all to go for. But what limits that? That's just it. That's the whole point of the whole thing. I don't want to limit it so not anyone can get it. That's because I think it's great. The veterans and the people with disabilities, the scuba programs for them are great. Mm-hmm. And that way, there's no way to exclude them. They should definitely, wow, that's a whole different podcast. Having a moon, what kind of moon pool set up to be able to accommodate someone with disabilities? That's, yeah, sorry. Just made me think. It's like, yeah. Because that's sooner rather than later too.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be cool. But I just, there's no excluding anybody, because anyone can do it. But that's what you want at the same time is, I'll say the American dream, because if it's your goal, if it's what you want to do, it shouldn't be unachievable. Yeah. Especially for as every day is what can become.
Yeah, and as you're talking there, it makes me think, no, you're right, that we're trying to find ways to limit it or define it, but why? I mean, first off, you have to know how to scuba dive, which eliminates a whole section of the population anyway.
Yep.
So it's still a niche thing, because you do have to, first off, be able to scuba dive, and then you don't have to be claustrophobic, because currently all the ones, I don't get claustrophobic that much, and I wouldn't have gotten in Jules. It was big enough, but I know a lot of people would. That even that tin can under the water could cause that. So I mean, there's a lot of things. The biggest barrier is scuba diving. So yeah, so maybe we don't change anything, just leave it like it is. And if you can stay underwater for 24 hours, if you can scuba dive, you earn the right to be an Aquanaut.
Yeah, because that's the personal Discord, that brought up the underwater shelter, which is really cool, and that's cool that you had thought of that earlier, because I love the idea. I don't think it's I don't see it business wise being something that has endurance.
Yeah. And once again, I don't really think of it, but Tom Rowe, who developed the Bionic Dolphin, the submarine.
Yeah.
He had shown me the drawings and stuff like that of one, and it basically was like this. They just sat on like a dual axle trailer, and it was like a little pill shaped thing, and it was like and you could get in there, and you could basically, it was a traveling underwater habitat that is like a bed. I think there wasn't much to it. It's very sparse.
Yeah.
That's what his whole idea was. And then Dennis Chamberlain, I'm 99% sure that they took their habitat they built with NASA and took it around to different schools for educational purposes as well. So there is a history of people doing that. But yeah, from a business standpoint, unless it's just a PR thing, I wouldn't see it as a way to really generate tons of money unless you just get the right people, which is always how it is. But yeah, it's still an interesting concept. And the fact that one hasn't been around in decades, and now with it is a thing too, is with everybody really looking at space, if you could come out and shock them with, hey, haven't you thought about this? Because still to this day, I explain ASC calling to people, and they're like, now what? Even my friend, who's also my former employer, I was having a long talk to him the other night about it, and he was going over it again. He's like, now, what are you trying to do? This is a guy I've known for 20 some years. He still doesn't get it. So, I mean,
that's okay. Just like the Aquanaut and scuba thing, it's not for everybody.
No,
and that's not cool. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
That's my wife calls me weird for just what she say something about just wanting to go make bubbles, and she wanted to go to some haunted house. I'm like, that's not my thing. She's like, fine, you're weird. You just want to go make bubbles, yeah.
I'll do both. I love haunted houses and I love scuba diving. So, like Adam was talking about.
Huh?
Go ahead.
I was just saying the Winchester mansion is what she had been talking about.
We were talking the other night, Adam was talking, when we were talking about underwater ghosts, when we were playing that game and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah. So you got any more points on that there? Or?
I'm gonna have to get my notes here, make sure. Oh, the accidental Aquanaut. He was in the news. Yeah, he got and it's terrible. I didn't write his name and stuff down. I should have, but everyone's probably familiar with the story because it was on the news and stuff. Where the boat went down and he was stuck in the boat it went to the seabed and he was stuck in the boat for 3 days, I believe it was, in an air pocket there. Pitch dark. He's
dude,
well,
how
most
terrifying
people
would that
just freak
have been?
out. Yeah, it's just most people freak out, and then they they figured it out. He was alive, and divers went down because it was supposed to be salvage divers. Instead, they ended up being rescue divers. They got him to a hyperbaric chamber and got him saturated back up, and so by default. It wasn't meant to be a permanent structure underwater, but by default, he's well past the time, and he was, as far as the gases being equal and stuff, they call him the accidental Aquanaut.
Adam just linked the video in chat, I guess, to it as well. My thing on the whole thing is, I spent 8 hours in a hot tub with my kidney stones. My skin was so rough. I can imagine 3 days. It had just like falling off his body at that point in time. Oh my gosh, that makes me just sick to my stomach thinking about how bad his skin must have been after 3 days.
Yeah.
Ugh. Hey Adam, shoot me that link in Facebook Messenger so I can link it out to everybody if you would. I'd appreciate that if you would do that, sir. But anyway.
That's all directly to that, but I had made a note to talk about the scuba clubs to see if any dive clubs local, or if we had any in contact with ASC that you know of.
So there is the place I used to go, the dive store here, closed down, but there's another one on the other side of town. It's actually the one I got certified with 20 some years ago. I go in there every once in a while, and I actually had met with the one that closed down, the owner there, about ASC several years ago. I had a big binder with everything in there about what the plans were and stuff like that, and sat down with her. she was very intrigued, but it was one of the things she's like, I don't have the money to do anything for you type of thing.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't really looking for that. I was looking more for feedback at that point in time. But yeah, I think it is something I'm sure trying to build a relationship with the other dive location right now that I store, get talking with them. Because yeah, at first the dive clubs, the divers are really what's going to make this take off, because it's going to be you have to scuba dive to get into it at first. So
Yeah.
they are going to be the bread and butter. So yeah, yeah.
I don't mean to put you on the spot for it. I just know that,
No.
There used to be a dive club in this area. It used to be so big. All that went away. And now I think social media, I've seen a lot more dive clubs getting together. More people are contacting, it's like, that's kind of cool. So didn't know if it's something close.
And there's one that I follow. It's not really a dive club, but it's a business, and it's Deadpool. Do you follow him? The scuba diver goes by Deadpool.
Compressed Adventures?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I messaged them one time, just trying to get them on, even because I thought he's a pretty animated guy. I thought it'd be fun to have him on. And I never have heard back from him, so I'll probably try again next year or something like that. But yeah, I thought he'd be an interesting one to have on and talk to.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I brought it up is over in Columbus, Ohio area, where I've never been able to see where there's a club for it, but now social media, I found, and the only reason I bring it up is because for several years they did a scuba show there, like a small version of DEMA, and I'm hoping to see that come back.
Yeah. And Adam just commented here that we need to do more integrations with dive clubs on Facebook groups, and probably we do a really good job about posting content out there. We don't do so great of a job about getting involved in other people's feeds. I try to on Twitter and Instagram to go through and like stuff and comment on stuff, but it's very hit or miss. I'm even worse with Facebook. So yeah, I think that is, it's a good point, both of you guys. So yeah, I definitely something to look at and dive into a little bit more. But talking about DEMA, you mentioned right there.
Yeah.
DEMA wrapped up. Did it wrap up, or is it still going?
Yeah, it wrapped up.
Yeah, it wrapped up. Yeah, last week. Did you catch any of the coverage from it?
I didn't, because I had way too much going on at work, and
so I didn't either. And this is what we were talking about was, so there's a company there, and they showed off a new scuba tank where you don't need a BCD anymore, because it's got a pump built with the tank that pumps water in and out of this other little tank that comes with your scuba tank. So it keeps you equalized based upon the water, so that there's no need for the BCD, and it's got the weight and stuff like that. And since it's neutrally buoyant, you just let the water out of the other little pump and you shoot to the top. Basically, it's like submarines work with their water ballast and stuff on those lines. It's basically the same concept. And so they showed that off, which I thought was pretty cool. That's the only thing I've really seen that really popped from this year so far.
That's cool. I hadn't seen that, because I know programmable computers have been around now that can hook to a BCD, specific type of BCD that would do that for you. And of course, the big thing then is how much is training are people going to get if that computer dies? What will they know to do? That's always the argument on anything like that. But still, that's because that takes away another component and that can go wrong by doing that. That's really cool.
But at the same time, if you're relying on a pump to regulate you by filling the water in there, that pump goes bad, you're in trouble then. I will stick with my BCD for years to come, so I can manually inflate that sucker.
Well, as long as you had the air, relying on the ambient pressure should fill the tank if you had a manual way to do that. Your water ballast. Yeah. And then if it has a hookup to your cylinder, you should be able to purge that water with the pressure from your cylinder.
Well, I'm going to send the
So
link
we'll
over
get
to
back
Adam to post
to
on social media, so see what kind of information there is. I haven't read the full
Okay.
article yet either. So, but yeah, we'll put it out there and see. Yeah, I don't know. It's ranks up there with that crazy helmet they showed off last year that had the
Yep.
rebreather built into it.
Yep.
I
I was hoping to see more about that to see
yeah,
if anything came of
I
that.
haven't seen anything about it. But, all right, you got anything else you want to go over here?
I don't.
Did we
that's
cover?
pretty
Did we
much all I
cover
had to
all
say
your
for-
all your talking points?
Yeah, pretty much. Because in one way or another, we did. That's just. I had in here some of the sea bases, but as where Aquanauts came from. But I'm not worried because if people are interested in this, they already know them, and that's for future stuff anyway. I think
That's true.
But yeah, that's just commercial saturation. Oh well, you already brought that up because that was one of my things was if people don't get wet. So you already got that. Yeah, we covered all the talking points.
Cool.
That was it.
All right, man. Well, this is it. This is the first of many where Babe is going to be doing the show, I think. Maybe he's going to take it over.
Take it over.
There you go.
Face for radio.
Talking about, yeah. Adam gives us thumbs up. He said, "Good job." Thank you, Adam.
Thank
yes,
you.
we can do it. We can do it without you. It's just not as interesting without the dogs barking and the kids and everything. It's a different dynamic. Yes, the cattail. For those listening on the podcast later, yes, Adam usually has a cat that walks in front of the screen as well. So, but talking about interviews, we're actually working with Sean Waterford, who's the guy that has the Australia that's got the underwater habitat. He's working on something like those lines. Looks like we are going to be getting him on here. I'm not sure if it'll be live or pre-recorded, but I'm actually working on his questions right now. So that's going to be coming up here soon. I don't know if that's going to be this year still or not. Yeah, so we got that interview coming up here pretty soon. I think that'll be a good one too. He's got an interesting design. I got lots of questions about his, so it'll be interesting. I'm hoping it can be live so we can get some real feedback, but if it doesn't work out because of time zone issues, it is what it is. All righty then. Well, does anybody out there have any questions? Or otherwise, I'm just going to run down the exit here. I'll do that while we're waiting. So, as you know, AtlanticSeaColony.com. We've got all of our links there. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Those are our main ones. I also do TikToks every once in a while. I hop on Reddit every once in a while too. But that's about it. Also on there is our merch store, which I'm going to try to have some kind of sale for Black Friday, I think. I'm not sure how much what I can do and what I can't do. But be watching for that. I'll be making the announcement here in the next couple of days. Probably have a sale on some of the stuff on there. We've got new holiday, like Christmas. There's like a Santa hat type of thing, and there's stuffed little animals, and there's a bunch of different stuff on there. Also on our website, we've got right there, you got two different ways that you can support us. One obviously is PayPal, which is one-time payment for anybody that just has extra change laying around, or they can Cash App us too, which is $ Atlantic Sea Colony. Or you can partner with us through Patreon, like Babe has done, and a few others. That's patreon.com/Atlantic Sea Colony. For $1 or $5 a month, you can support a starving underwater habitat. Now you can help us out there. But we got Edward Haas, Brian Acosta, Babe Hyde, Matthew Cappy. They are our Patreons. And we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you, Babe.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you taking the time to do this, because I know this is not something you can just whip together real fast. It takes a little bit of research sometimes, and but it's fun. I think it turned out really well. So
well, thank you.
So guys,
I do too.
With that in mind, any closing remarks there, Babe?
Oh, dive if you can.
There you go. All right, guys. We will see you next Tuesday. And have a great Thanksgiving. Take care. Thank you, guys.